Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to open the workshop section of the town board meeting. The first thing on the agenda is the Winter Festival. And for anyone that attended it, we had, what a wonderful event it was. We held it on February 21st. It was from 11 to 3. And I'd like to refer to it as the first annual Winter Festival because I do hope it becomes an annual event. We had, it started out as just an idea to give residents of the town of Kent something back, some fun that was going to be free of charge and just an afternoon out for people that wanted something to do in the winter. And with the sponsorship of the Carmel Kent Chamber of Commerce, we were able to achieve that goal. The entire festival was at no cost to the residents of the town. The Chamber of Commerce stepped up to the plate and sponsored the entire event. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the people that actually made the wonderful day possible. The sponsors of the reusable ice rink, for any of you that have seen it, it's still out on our Kent Town grounds, and it was great. People came out with ice skates and without, and just had a ball. So the sponsors of the reusable ice rink were Advanced Automotive, Balsamo Cordovano Funeral Home, Boyd Artesian Well Company Incorporated, Carmel Teachers Association, Gappy's Pizza, Inc., Healy's Corner Restaurant, Kenny's Carpet One, Putnam County Savings Bank, Quality Rental Incorporated, Ron's Auto Body Shop, Timothy J. Curtis, Esquire, and Volare Restaurant. A statue of the library also participated in the event, and they did a Frozen theme, and Doug Holly donated a statue of Olaf to the library for the event. We had refreshments that were totally free to anybody that wanted them. We had coffee and hot chocolate and soup and all kinds of snacks that were free of charge to everyone. And the refreshments were sponsored by the Carmel Kent Chamber of Commerce, Semco, Dot and Joe's Deli, and Gino's Deli. And I'd like to thank Bill Nulk and Henry Boyd and Julie Boyd, who ran the refreshments stand the entire time. They had a little heater there, but they were very dedicated and froze themselves off. Again, I really want to thank as many people as possible because it was such a wonderful event. I'd like to thank Traffic Lane Closures for supplying the pallets for our bonfire, and our Kent Highway Department for going and digging out those pallets and delivering them. I'd like to thank Arts on the Lake for coordinating with the town and the Chamber of Commerce and designing the flyers and signs and paying for producing those signs. The wonderful entertainment that we had a singing group called Singsation. We had Ukes on the Lake, and the wonderful Nina Mountain Singers, of which our councilwoman Penny Osborne is one. It was a wonderful show. They had children participate in the drumming and teaching them about culture. It was fantastic. We had Dr. John Inkledon and his son John, Chainsaw Doc, that did wood carving demonstrations. I'd like to thank Bill Walters, the Town of Kent Building Inspector and the co-chair of the, kind of forced into being the co-chair by me, but who really helped out with everything, and he's also the chief of the Lake Carmel Fire Department. The Lake Carmel Fire Department volunteer firefighters came to the event and ran the bonfire all day. It was wonderful. I'd like to thank Lou Fernandez, our Director of Recreation, and his guys, Chris Kehoe and Rob Webb, and Adam Pavelka, who works for Town Hall, for actually getting the grounds ready and putting up the rink. and just, getting the whole place kind of sparkling for Saturday. I'd like to thank Lou's assistant, Jared Kaczynski, who was wonderful. Jared came in the morning and stayed all day and ice skated with the kids, and just was a wonderful volunteer. I'd like to also thank police officers Vanderwood and Radar, who came out and, just talked to the children and let them pet Radar, and just were wonderful all day. And Sergeant Kevin Owens and the Kent Police Department cadets who volunteered at the event and helped people out and directed them to events. And our town clerk, Lana Capelli, who came and stood outside in the cold and helped set up and did everything that she could do. It was really a wonderful event, and I hope that the people that came had a wonderful time, and I hope the people that didn't come will come next year when we do it again. Anybody?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Maureen for putting this together. It was a really nice winter festival, and everyone seemed to be having a very good time. I didn't see anybody who didn't have a smile on their face. And thank you, Maureen. It was a good job.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really perfect, too, the end of the, midway through, the snow started falling, which usually is not a perfect thing, especially with Highway Department overtime, but it was really beautiful and made it for an even more picturesque event. So thank you, everybody. The second item on the agenda is the Kent Volunteer Fire Department. And again, I'm going to be reading, but the Kent Volunteer Fire Department had its 2015 installation dinner where they installed officers on February 7th. And it was a wonderful event, very well attended. So I would like to take this opportunity, as I did at the last meeting, in congratulating the members of the Lake Carmel Fire Department, to congratulate the members of the Kent Volunteer Fire Department who were installed as officers and who won awards. We frequently don't recognize these wonderful volunteers who do this totally selflessly. They don't expect to be commended. They don't do it so that we recognize them up here. But I think it's very important that we do, because we certainly depend on our volunteers. And, these people run into fires when the rest of us are running away. So the newly installed chief of the department is James Pekarsky. The assistant chief, Justin Byrne. The fire medic officers, Captain Stephen Gasparini, Captain Ryan Pekarsky, Lieutenant Nicholas Benjack, Lieutenant Bernard Comiskey, Lieutenant Joseph Gasparini, Lieutenant Matthew Valente, Fire Police Lieutenant Jonathan Galente, EMS Lieutenant William Leo Sr., the administration, President J.P. Liggett, Secretary Gladys Ballbrook, Sergeant-at-Arms Daniel Graves, Vice President Eric Lawton, Treasurer William Leo Sr., the Board of Directors, Catherine Casey, John Favreau, and Gerard Sedlak. And now for the award winners that evening. The top responders were Matthew Valente, Ryan Pekarsky, Robert Andrews, Ron Atzman, and Douglas Casey. And the firefighter of the year was Robert Andrews. The probationary firefighter of the year is Lauren Andrews. The Stephen Williams Leadership Award was presented to John Favreau. The EMS Award went to Matthew Valente, and the Chiefs Award went to Ron Atzman. So even though these people are not here, I think a round of applause for our volunteers. Now I'm going to stop reading. And the next item on the agenda is the Highway Department bids for salt shed, and the air conditioning at the Highway Department. So I welcome our Highway Superintendent, Richard Othmer.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Rich.
Two quick things before I discuss the AC and the salt shed. The New York State, Lance McMillan, he's the regional engineer. They've been very good to us. There's a shortage of salt throughout New York State, and we had an emergency meeting with the, can you hear me? With the Highway Superintendent's Association, and every town was in dire straits, but we're sharing the state shed for this year, and they're letting us use their salt, and when we finally get it in, we'll replace it, so they've been a lifesaver. One storm, we had 6 trucks down. I called up the county. They let me borrow one of their trucks for the storm, and right now, I'm happy to say all our trucks are serviceable. They're back on the road. And actually, there's an older truck at the county that we're going to be able to use it. They're going to give it to us on a permanent loan. So I appreciate the county's help and New York State's help. And the one last thing, I'm working on a grant, a multimodal grant right now with New York State Senate for Hortontown Road. So who's ever out there from Hortontown Road, I know your road is a mess, and we need a lot of money, so I'm working on a grant for that, and I'm going to try to run it through the State Senate. Okay. The first item is my request. I put out requests for bids for a central air conditioning unit in the highway garage. Right now, we have 6 window units. I met with New York State Electric and Gas. These window units, they work on 1,500 watts each, 1,500 watts per hour, which when they're running in the summer is a total of 9,000 watts. When you run their equation, to run those, it's costing us $25.92 per day, or 700 per day. Yeah, all those units, $25.92 per day, or $778 per month. If I can switch to this central air conditioning unit, I can get rid of all these window units hanging out all over the place, which usually they burn out in a year, and we got to buy a new one. And I can cut that price approximately 60% to about $300 a month. The wattage, it runs on 3,500 watts, the 3 horsepower unit I want to put in, on 3,500 watts. The 6 window units run on 9,000 watts. And the unit that I want to put in is going to put out about 40% more cooling power than the 6 window units. It's going to have a lifespan of 20 to 25 years. In 2 years, it's going to pay for itself, and we're going to have it for a long time. So I would like to do this. You know, we have the women are working in the office there. They got the 2 window units running there. You can't hear anyone on the phone. You know, we need to cool the computers down. And if you look at my office, I live in a coffin. I have no windows or anything. I'm like stuck in the middle of this thing, and I have a fan going. And in the summertime, the papers are stuck to my arms and everything else. So to me, this just makes financial sense to do this. I'm going to scrape the money together through my budget. I'm not asking for any additional money. But as Lana will tell you, was it last March, Lana? We went up to the attic where we want to install the unit. It was full of crap. It was just full of old records and everything else, and Lana came down and her staff came down, and we went through all the papers. We saved the vital records, and the other ones were discarded properly, but we have all the room in the world to put this up there. So I got the 3 prices. I believe it was, well, there was one pretty close. Who was it? Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning, they were low bid at $12,500. Bell Heating was $12,865, and then Enterprise Heating and Cooling was $14,000. And so, I mean, this is going to pay for itself. And now the other bonus to this is we don't have a heating system in the highway garage. We don't have heaters. Everyone has radiator. We have space heaters that they keep buying from Home Depot. Those things really suck up power. The unit that I'm getting next year's budget, if I have any, maybe if I have some money left over from this year, I can piggyback a heating unit onto this ductwork, and we could run central heat also with the air conditioning. The heating unit right now, we have 8 units. They run at 1,300 watts. I'll put it this way: it runs about $200 per day in the wintertime to run all these space heaters, and that's a conservative estimate. If I can get a regular if I can piggyback with the central air on this, we can run it for about $20 a day. It just, I mean, the whole system is going to pay for itself. We're going to bring it into the 21st century. You know, spring is coming. I want to do the AC units now because some of the window units are broken. I don't want to waste the money and replace them. So that's my request, if you would approve the low bid on this. But I know, Maureen, you said you wanted to wait, you guys want to discuss it again and wait until the next meeting.
Where are the other, so there's one window unit where the clerk said there's one in your office.
There's not, I can't put one in my
There's
office
none
because
in your office.
I don't have an outlet to the
So where are
outside.
the, I mean, I have to come down.
There's
and
two
see.
in the girls' office, the main office. There's 1 to 2 in the trailer. There's 1 to 2 in the kitchen, depending, you know, we'll switch them if one breaks down. And then Nick's got one in his office back in the parts room. And Nick's is in the block wall, and it sticks out into the garage floor. I mean, it's archaic. The whole thing is archaic. But since we're going to do a capital construction project on the municipal repairs, this unit, we can run the ductwork into that office once that's built. And it just, I mean, if I was going to do this, if I owned the building, this is what I would do. If this is my own house, this is what I would do. But the money, the equations speak for themselves. The little heating units suck up power like mad, and the window units, it's going to pay for itself.
I have a question. Rich, when you talk about the all right, let's just Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning Corporation with a bid of 12.5. Now, is that for the unit, or is that for the unit and the installation?
That's it, labor and material.
And that's including the ductwork?
Yes,
All right, so that would be from soup to nuts, the whole
yes.
shebang. Now, is there any danger to the men having forced hot air, if we're talking about a heating unit to come back later? Is there, being that it's a highway garage, forced hot air in a highway garage, would there be any possibility of, you know, endangering the men with the air they're breathing?
No, these are licensed contractors, and this AC and this heat is not going into the garage. The garage right now, there's a blower on the boiler that keeps the trucks warm so the hydraulics don't freeze up, and the AC is not going into the garage area. And actually, this summer, I disconnected. They were blowing the boiler air into the room upstairs where we use for storage, and some